When was the last time you saw a dead man's penis, John?
I'm staring at one right now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Smart Avengers. My name is Corey. With me is Dylan and John.
You tricked me.
I kind of did. Dylan's known for saying off-the-wall stuff, and John's out here slapping his titties and looking at his own dead penis. Oh, boy, oh, boy.
That might be the best one yet.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It was just the betrayal and hurt in your voice as well is what kind of did that. You tricked me.
See how it feels?
I know. I'm never going to trust anyone ever again.
Well, speaking of things we can't trust, this is an episode that's, I want to say it was kind of a long time coming, but it kind of also wasn't. A few months ago, probably back in April or May, we recorded an episode of the show back when we were doing our call over Skype instead of Discord, and using Skype's built-in record function to record the call. And that's how we would get the video, and then we'd edit the video, blah, 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 blah. Towards the end of Skype's run, though, they really stopped trying and caring. And it never became more apparent than after we recorded this episode, we sat and waited for the video to populate, and it never did. And we had our first ever kind of lost episode of the Smart Avengers in a traditional sense, because we had a full-blown episode done and in the can, and it just disappeared. So that being said, we've been kind of sitting on this one, waiting kind of for a rainy day, and something we've discussed before. We didn't have to necessarily do a ton of research for. We could just kind of jump into it with minimal prep. But we're going to talk about the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. And if you still have the thumbnail, we might be able to reach. Actually, you never made a thumbnail for it because the episode never populated.
Yeah, I don't remember if I did make a thumbnail for it.
No, I don't think you ever did. Yeah. So we'll do a little bit of time travel in a sense that the Christopher Nolan Batman movies kind of came at an interesting point in time in the movie world and superhero genre. The very first one, Batman Begins, came out in the early 2000s, which was only about 4 or 5 years removed from the release of the Batman and Robin by Joel Schumacher. That was considered a bit of a bomb. Not a flop, but a bomb, in that it pretty much killed any interest in Batman for a hot minute, which was saying a lot, because Batman up until that point was a pretty big ticket mover. Because if it wasn't just the movies, but the animated series was going. The comics at the time, because it was the 90s, were still pretty big and popular. So we had this lull period where there were no Batman movies coming out. There were rumors of Batman movies coming out, but it just seemed like nobody wanted to take that opportunity or that shot with it. So 2005 is when Batman Begins came out. So again, like, we're kind of just going to take this sort of a casual approach, talk about the three movies, our impressions of them, what we felt was done right, what we felt was done wrong, that kind of deal. We aren't going to get too into the weeds when it comes to like the behind the scenes stuff. Although very recently I was watching like an old clip of Big Fat Quiz of the Year, and they had fucking Danny Dyer come in and read a question. And I just immediately thought back to our episode where he was one of the rumored names to play Robin. And I was like, oh, dear God.
Yeah. Classic stuff. What can you imagine if that had happened?
It'd have been wild.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, we're going to go back to the year 2005. I graduated high school in 2005.
I also left high school in 2005.
2002, bitches.
There you go. John was...
You call us bitches?
Yeah, John was just fresh from the millennium.
Yep.
We don't like to call it that anymore.
No, we do. I mean, why would you not want to, name a millennium after a man who admitted to throwing up every time he comes? Moving on.
No. I don't think we should move on too quickly. John, have you heard this?
I can't say that I have, to be honest.
There was a very uncomfortable thing that he did with his wife before the whole slapping Chris Rock across the face deal, where they kind of just admitted like kind of some ugly things about their relationship to one another, and like I guess like he admitted that he had like a real bad like sex addiction problem to the point that like the act of ejaculating made him physically ill. For me, so
Wow.
for me, it's kind of like whenever people think of Sting, they just not the wrestler, but the performance artist of the Police, formerly of the Police,
Mhm.
where like almost anyone ever just thinks about him as just like, oh yeah, it's the guy who likes to wait a little bit before he comes.
I don't know if
A
that's how
little
they
bit,
say it.
like 8 hours or something, isn't
I
it?
mean, does he ever quantified exactly how long it is? Because for some people, I mean,
I
time is all about perspective.
I think he did say
One man's
it
eight
was
minutes
8
is another
hours.
man's 4.5 hours.
Yeah, but I would also say, 8 hours is not waiting a bit. Like, you have to clear your whole schedule for that
Clear my
day.
schedule.
Yeah. If I was
I
waiting for the
mean,
bus for 8 hours, I'd be pretty
yeah,
pissed off.
yeah. And then as soon as the bus comes, you
You
throw up.
ejaculate.
Like, well,
You ejaculate and then throw up.
yeah. All right. Well, that took a turn.
Well, that's the thumbnail. Just John coming and vomiting at the bus stop. Will that stay in the episode? You tell us when you watch this in the future. Anyway, we have 2005 with Batman Begins. I was not familiar with Christopher Nolan before these movies. I knew Memento, but I wouldn't say that like I was an expert on the man's work or like knew like his style inside and out. That's for sure. John, you've always been a really big film person. Was that true even back in 2005?
Yeah. Like, I mean, Nolan in 2005 was sort of one of those up and coming names more than anything. Like, like you say, Memento sort of put him on the map a little bit. Well, quite a big bit. But then I guess it opened the doors for him to be able to take on Batman. And so it's really this Batman Dark Knight trilogy, which is what kind of put him, properly into the public consciousness and sort of gave him the opportunity to then go on and start doing his own movies as well. And yeah, obviously it's worked out pretty well for him since.
That's true. So he was okay. I said I wasn't gonna get too in the weeds, but we'll get just a tiny bit. The movie was written. The script was written by David S. Goyer. He was signed on to do this in 2003, so they had a good 2 year pre-production and production before the movie came out. But the idea was that he wanted to focus on an origin story because at the time, the Batman movies that came out, like Tim Burton's Batman, jumps you right into Bruce Wayne being Batman. Batman was still kind of getting established. He was an urban legend in the city of Gotham. But he already had a cave, he already had the gear. There were no training montages. It was just like Batman's an established thing. Here you go. Whereas Nolan's Batman, we got to see the transition of a kid who watches his parents get gunned down in an alley to angry young man to determined person who's set this impossible goal for himself and the steps he's willing to take in order to achieve it. So, first and foremost, we should probably talk about Christian Bale. We'll talk about him now because he's going to be present in all three movies, obviously. But Christian Bale, we had a whole episode where we talked about who our favorite Batman was. Christian Bale was not any of our favorites, but that's not to say he was a bad Batman. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely think he rode the line of like kind of that quiet, brooding intensity. Christian Bale is a very intense individual, as we remember.
Yeah, but then he was able to do like the whole playboy side of Bruce as well, like
He had the look.
false kind of persona.
He had the look, he had the charm to it, and that's where you got a little bit of the Patrick Bateman from where he was in American Psycho before that. You could see that there's a little bit of that in there.
I guess like the thing most people remember him for from these movies is the voice.
Yeah.
Which is it is sort of ridiculous sounding, but at the same time, it's coming from the kind of grounded take that Nolan was trying to do anyway,
Yeah.
because he can't just be speaking in his normal voice because people are going to recognize it. So I guess he has to kind of disguise it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, let's touch on that for just a tiny moment then, because every Batman actor had their sort of take on like the difference between a Batman voice and a Bruce Wayne voice. Wasn't a lot of differences though. Usually, just sort of sounding more friendly was Bruce Wayne. Like
Mm,
Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne and Batman were fucking very similar. I don't even
yeah.
know if you would say he attempted to hide the fact. But like Val
Mhm.
Kilmer definitely did. Like his Bruce Wayne voice was definitely a touch friendlier, and George Clooney was just George Clooney. I remember watching a clip with oh, who was it? It was a voice actor. I can't remember who it was, but they voiced Batman, and they were talking about Christian Bale, and they were talking about Christian Bale's Batman voice, and they were like, "I'm not a fan of it because I think you can do it basically just like drop your voice lower and a little gravelier and not just like kind of sounding like a death metal vocalist." But I think even Ben Affleck's Batman, like he have like a vocator kind of thing going on. I
I
remember in
think
Justice League he
so.
had like a voice modifier that kind of made his voice sound really like gravelly.
Mm.
Why doesn't he always have a voice modifier?
Ben Affleck?
Batman.
Oh,
Well,
Goodwill Hunting
that's a
would have been
matter of taste,
Goodwill Hunting
really.
would have been very different.
But like, I mean, it spice things up. But Batman, like, everybody knows Bruce Wayne. He's a billionaire playboy. People know who he is. He's always in the media. People know what he sounds like. He wears a mask, and people don't know what Batman looks like. Wouldn't it make sense for him to like wire up some sort of voice modulator into the mask, where he
Yeah.
just doesn't sound like Bruce Wayne?
I think in the comics sometimes they will say that they'll make a mention of that, saying that like, oh yeah, he has like a thing in his cowl that makes his voice sound different. It's sort of like sometimes I feel like the comic books will go too far in trying to explain some stuff. I feel like that's an example. Like I always get weirded out when they try to like explain why their masks, their eyes are white in the mask. And
Mm.
it's you don't need to do that. It's fine. We'll just
Yeah,
accept it.
yeah.
We'll accept it. Like I
It just
remember
looks cool.
exactly. I remember Grant Morrison in their book on philosophy was talking about like how kids will just accept that like mermaids exist and they don't need an explanation. And like
Mhm.
Superman flies just cuz like you don't need to get into the science about it. And I feel like comic book
Mm.
Listen,
fans are very similar in that regard. Only the really shitty ones are the ones who are like, "No, you got to explain it. You got to explain it."
I do hate shit like that where they get really like too into the weeds with it, and you're
Yeah.
like, just fucking chill out. It's not real, you know.
Yes. So, when we talked about this previously, the one note I do remember is that all of these movies felt like they took two very classic Batman stories and combined them. Whereas this one is very much Batman Year One in a sense of this is Bruce getting, we see him train, we see him get, the pieces of the costume from the League of Shadows training garb. You see the beginnings of that. They explain why his gloves have fins on them to catch swords, essentially.
Mm.
Which I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but is what it is. But we see it's Batman Year One for all intents and purposes. Like we see him announce Batman into the city of Gotham and the things that he does as a result of it. To get into the rest of the cast, we have Rachel Dawes, who is our love interest, and she's played by Katie Holmes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Um, I will be completely honest with you. There's nothing about that character that's really memorable for me.
I mean,
She's the childhood friend.
yeah, childhood friend who I guess Bruce loves, and like I guess the theme that carries across into the next movie as well is that he ultimately wants to make Gotham a better place, so he can retire being Batman and then live happily ever after with Rachel. But obviously, stuff happens, and that doesn't really turn out exactly as he planned.
Yeah.
So,
What kind of stuff happens?
When she
well,
gets
she gets
recast.
blown up. What?
One night she ate some bad Chinese food and woke up as Maggie Gyllenhaal.
One day she just couldn't stop vomiting every time she came. And that was
Aaron
really putting
Eckhart.
Batman off. He's like, dude, I don't know about you. I'm not into this.
The
I don't
bucket
think.
by the bed is a bit of a mood killer.
Well, if you don't change it,
What if like she? Oh no, I don't want to go there.
you'll cut it out anyway. Do it.
I was gonna say like, what if like that's how Bruce finds out that he's not really good in bed because she's not like she's faking her orgasms but she's not throwing up and she's like no really I mean it and she starts like putting her fingers down her throat. No, look, see, you did such a good job.
I feel like by that point he would be like, okay, cool. Now I know that this isn't a thing that everybody does.
Yeah. I do like the weird idea of Bruce Wayne the Virgin. Anyway, we'll take a step back, reset. So Katie Holmes' character Rachel Dawes is sort of a foil for Bruce in a sense that she has a very strong sense of justice. She works for the Attorney General or the District Attorney in Gotham, so she's also in pursuit of justice, but she's in more of the legal way of doing it as opposed to Bruce's more brash, boots to the ground vigilantism. Our next big casting that we have to talk about is Liam Neeson as Henry Ducard / Ra's al Ghul. Big fan of Liam Neeson. I did love him in this role. Henry Ducard in the comic books is a French thief, and basically like that's how Bruce learns a lot of his like detective skills from and his sleight of hand and stuff is from Henry Ducard. So to take an established character and kind of modify him, keeping him in a role of a mentor that Bruce met along his way of like training and learning and adapting, it was a good touch, as well as the big twist being that Ra's al Ghul is a figurehead in the League of Shadows. It is not a person. It is a role that you fill. Because the red herring was played by Ken Watanabe.
Yes.
We also have to talk about Alfred, played by Michael Caine. Would you say that he is the best depiction of Alfred in the movie so far?
Yes, I would say so.
I thought Jeremy Irons had potential. I just like Jeremy Irons, though.
I mean, Scar is great, yeah, but like, I didn't think too much of his Alfred, to be honest.
No, I kind of he kind of fit more of like the kind of the comic book role of like the former British spy that knows field medicine, knows how to work a wrench, kind of deal as opposed to Michael Caine being a very distinguished gentleman. He felt more like a real life butler in a sense, as opposed to kind of like Alfred is a butler, but he's also a bunch of other shit that comes in very handy for Bruce. So I mean,
the role meant to play.
Yeah, from a comic book perspective, I think that Jeremy Irons fit the bill of like a comic book Alfred, but I will agree. I feel like there was not nearly as good material for him to work with as Michael Caine certainly had, and Michael Caine, of course, is a phenomenal actor who's better. We won't even really talk about Andy Serkis because I liked him in the Batman, but I can't necessarily feel like that's Alfred for me.
Was that the one with
Robert Pattinson?
Okay, I haven't seen it.
You really need to. It's pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's the first Batman movie that really dives into the detective aspect of the character. But we're not talking about the Reeves the Batman series.
That's next week.
That's next week. Where we will talk about the Batman. Anyway, we also have I always feel like I'm gonna get it wrong. Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow.
Yes.
You pronounce Scarecrow correctly.
Great. I always get words. I always go, is it Scarecrow? Scarecrow?
Yeah, okay. Scarecrow?
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow?
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow? Cillian Murphy.
I do remember one of the things we talked about last time were how two of my countrymen are in this film.
That's true.
Liam Neeson specifically is from Northern Ireland.
Yes.
Cillian Murphy's from Ireland. So that's nice to get a little bit of like proper representation for me.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, me and Liam Neeson practically identical.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very similar.
So,
So it's a good thing.
any other notable castings from there? I don't think so.
I
think
mean,
that's gonna
Gary
be it.
Oldman as Jim
Obviously
Gordon is
Gary
the big
Oldman.
one.
Yeah.
Not Gary Newman,
Uh,
Gary Oldman. Would have been a very different
Yes.
movie.
Certainly not Gary Newman.
Would have been a very
That
different
would
movie.
be a very different Jim Gordon, yeah.
Mm,
Morgan Freeman as well as Lucius Fox.
Lucius Fox.
Very good.
Yeah, that's a good call.
There are a lot of really distinguished actors there, which is this was before Christopher Nolan kind of got his stable of actors that he continually worked with.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is kind of the beginnings of that. You kind of, because I would say he's kind of a director you could call an auteur in the sense that he has a very definite style to what he does and a pool of actors he prefers to work with.
100%.
So great casting. The story is pretty simple in regards of Bruce Wayne coming back to Gotham as Batman to make a difference, and having to deal with the mysterious League of Shadows that are basically a environmental doomsday terrorist cell, who are basically they're sort of the Roman. They claim to be present when empires need to fall, and Gotham has been corrupt for too long, and they're there to reset it. So,
What are they called?
The
The League of Shadows.
League of Shadows. Do you think that they're like knocking around these days?
We might find out. Anyway, Ra's al Ghul would have loved COVID. That would have been his fucking jam. It absolutely was. If you read, I'd love Ra's al Ghul is one of my favorite villains. I will go ahead and put it out there. Ra's al Ghul is one of my favorite villains. So to go into this movie with that expectation of seeing it, and I was really disappointed with the red herring at first because I thought like, oh wow, they just fucking killed Ra's al Ghul in the first like 20 minutes. This really is just going to be Batman versus Scarecrow. That feels really anticlimactic in a sense because Scarecrow, not really a heavy hitter.
Or so you would think.
He's got name value, but he's not going to be who you face in a fist fight. We also say this, that Cillian Murphy is one of the few actors who's in all three of the movies, along with Morgan Freeman, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Christian Bale. I think and Gary Oldman. They're like the 4-5 actors who are in the whole time. So even though his character is dispatched quite easily in this movie, Scarecrow keeps turning up.
I would argue that he's dispatched quite easily in the second one as well.
And the third one, I believe.
And the third one.
Yeah. Like I said, Scarecrow, not really a heavy hitter when it comes to his physical prowess.
I love that bit, though, that they stuck with. Let's just bring the Scarecrow back
every time.
Every film.
Yeah.
Just to do fucking nothing.
He did great, though. He did great. But yeah, no. So the movie centers around a conspiracy plot involving Scarecrow's fear toxin and, basically the League of Shadows wanting to detonate a device that would, turn Gotham into essentially a rage virus filled hellhole where people just claw each other to death. Pretty simple point A to point B storytelling. It's a solid movie. I think it's probably, of the three movies, I'd say it's the second in best in terms of quality.
Yes,
because I
would agree with that. Yeah,
I feel the third one just lacks direction. We'll get to that shortly.
We'll get to that.
So, anything in particular about Batman Begins that you would like to discuss that we've not already brought up before we can move to Dark Knight? Because I feel like Dark Knight we're gonna get a lot of mileage out of.
Yeah, not really. I haven't really seen the first one that much. I think I've only seen it once. So I didn't really have a whole lot I was going to say about it, but I did like that you think that Scarecrow is going to be a big deal, but it turns out he's not really. Like, they kind of do a bait and switch,
Which is the second bait and switch in the movie.
But I like that, though.
Yeah. I mean, he got handled rather quickly. His first confrontation with Batman is essentially his last.
He got manhandled,
Mm-hmm.
and some people like that.
Some people are into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of impressive as well that like a movie about a guy who dresses as a bat to fight crime can be so kind of grounded and realistic in terms of, like explaining how he became like a crime fighter and how he got all of these, wonderful toys and stuff.
That's true.
Like,
We don't want to take away from that. That is a very big part of that is the relationship with Lucius Fox and his own sort of experimenting with things.
mm,
Because I remember the Tumbler obviously is the Batmobile was what really stood out when they originally were showing the trailers. Because like we basically for years the Batmobile started off as this sort of like weird hot rod kind of car. And then over
yeah.
time it just kind of became more and more of this sort of hulking but weirdly aerodynamic sports car. And then
Yeah.
and then this movie was just like, actually no, it's this weird fucked up looking tank.
Which, like, when you think about it, if you're Batman and you need to get to somewhere really quickly, it makes sense to have a sports car, but it makes more sense to have a car that pushes other cars out of the way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That makes way more sense. Like, you know, Penguin was able to put a bomb in the Batmobile
Yeah.
in Batman Returns.
Riddler
I
did
don't know
it.
if you
Riddler did it too in Batman Forever.
I don't know if you can put a bomb in the tumbler. Like, it's designed to be pretty foolproof,
Sturdy.
you know?
Has a sturdy.
Yeah.
vehicle.
Although
I
it
feel,
does get blown up in the second movie.
well, okay, that shows what I know, but I feel like
At the end of the day,
the
you can't just keep a good bomb down.
the tumbler is what I feel like Elon Musk wanted the Cybertruck to look like. But then he was like, it costs too much. I'll just make it out of sheet metal.
I'll just make a stupid looking thing instead.
I'll just make it really smooth, and then
I
call it a
think
day.
I think it looks more like Inspector Gadget's car.
It kind of does.
Okay.
It kind of does. So,
That's what I do.
so real quick to kind of get into just sort of the meat and potatoes of this, Batman Begins settled at a final box office of roughly $373 million and an average Rotten Tomatoes score of 85%. For comparison, Batman and Robin, which came out in 1997, did 238 million, so about 100 and some million more, and their Rotten Tomatoes score is an average of 12%. So significant improvement.
Yeesh.
Oof.
Significant improvement.
100%, huh?
So after Batman Begins was a success, The Dark Knight was greenlit, and that came out in the year 2008 to a lot of fanfare and anticipation because it was the first time since 1989 we were going to get a big screen Joker, which everybody loves except for Dylan. We all love the Joker except for Dylan. And this Joker was being played by Australian actor Heath Ledger, who at that point had been really well known for sort of like a lot of teenage rom-com kind of movies. Like, I think the big two I remember are A Knight's Tale and 10 Things I Hate About You. So a lot of people were like, this is going to be the Joker. And then we got our first kind of image of him with this fucked up scars on the mouth and stringy, messy hair and just sloppy makeup. And we're like, all right, well, they're going to go with a very different approach. Now, I remember at the time, because this is 2008, I was midway through college. I remember at the time a lot of people were very nervous about this because you look at the Joker and you look what Jack Nicholson did and you're like, wow, how are you going to compare with that?
Yes. Big clown shoes to fill.
Big old clown shoes.
Mm-hmm. Even though Jack Nicholson had regular size feet.
Yes.
As is my knowledge of Jack Nicholson.
There you go. So, obviously, you can't talk about The Dark Knight without talking about Heath Ledger, and you can't talk about Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight without mentioning the fact that he did pass away before the movie premiered due to an unfortunate drug overdose. As most drug overdoses tend to go, unfortunate.
Well, it depends who it is.
Yeah, there's some of you not too sad to see him go. Anyway,
Some of them are real fortunate. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, thank God.
so we got a very different take on the Joker from where Jack Nicholson's was. Jack Nicholson's Joker was very chaotic, but it was very sort of crime oriented. Very much about being the main character and being the center of attention. What with his Love That Joker commercials and the product placements, and of course the going through the museum and vandalizing all the statues and art with smiles and handprints and stuff. The very playful Joker. This Joker was more of the chaos for the sake of chaos that, Dylan, you have gone on the record for saying you did not like.
Not exactly. I don't like how the Joker has turned into this weird kind of I don't know the way to describe it, but like he's revered now. It's a different character than what it was, and I feel like the chaos for the sake of chaos character works well in this film. I don't think that's what happens in the comics anymore. The Joker is not that character anymore. He's just this revered, wonderful, can't do anything wrong, it has magic armor, kind of invincible clown.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. He's just a guy, but like he's always somehow is 7 steps ahead of everybody, and he knows everything, and he has every advantage. Which I don't like. That's comic book stuff. I feel like in media, the Joker has usually been represented very well, very realistically in a lot of different in the TV shows and the films and stuff like that. The Joker has been represented very well. It's the comic Joker I don't like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the people who write him are a little too enamored with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he just ends up doing all sorts of crazy shit. You're like, this is boring. But I feel like with a character like Heath Ledger's Joker, that's a really interesting Joker because it is the total opposite of what Jack Nicholson did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a guy that's looking for attention. It's just a guy that's looking to fuck around.
Well, so that's the thing about the Heath Ledger Joker character I find the most interesting is the fact that he's a liar. Like, that's the part that always got me with his whole, like, oh, I'm not a guy who makes plans, where everything he did was so carefully orchestrated. Like, that's really the thing about it, is he is a horrific liar. Like, the whole time, he's just talking through both sides of his mouth.
Yes.
The thing, the other part about it is, I mean, Heath Ledger's performance, he was dark, he was charismatic, he grabbed your attention, what with just his mannerisms, the tone of voice he used, the fact that, like, I mean, God, how many terrible Joker impersonations came out after that is a different fucking beast entirely. But he definitely, it was a new take on the Joker that became iconic. And for that alone, you have to salute it. Do you have a favorite scene of his from the movie? Because, I mean, I'll tell you mine right now is the interrogation room scene where Gary Oldman's character and, Commissioner Gordon and Batman are interrogating him, and just sort of his mannerisms, how he carries himself. And then when he's left alone with that one beat detective and he knows exactly what buttons to push to get under the guy's skin to orchestrate his own escape.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot, man. That's the thing that I love about that film was when you watch it, every single scene the Joker is in, like, it's captivating. You can't take your eyes off him. So I feel like pretty much every scene he's in makes you want to watch it more. And obviously, people would say the pencil scene.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, the disappearing pencil.
But I quite like the bit where he's on top of the big pile of money.
Oh yeah.
And he just sets it on fire. He's like, whatever. I'm like, I can identify with this guy. There's a lot of little bits like that where you're like, it's just like the bit where he goes into the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just like, because then you can see a lot of like dignified.
You see people reacting to him.
Yes, you get to see him being really just him, and you get to see people who would say that they are of a different class, a different breed of people to him, just having no idea like how to react to something like this. I like that because that's a fun, juxtaposition.
I'd say the scene where he's coming out the hospital and pressing the button to blow it up is a classic as well.
It is that I think that's so memorable. That's really,
Mhm.
That was.
but also the bit where he's in the hospital talking to Harvey Dent.
Oh, he
Yeah,
dresses
yeah,
the
yeah.
nurse. The
He's
high.
and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not the bad guy here, and then like immediately is like kind of the bad guy here. But like you said, Corey, because he lies so often, like he like so quickly is like this isn't about me, and then like 3 sentences later is like, yeah, I did this.
Yeah.
But
The
it's
other,
but it's really Batman you hate,
Yeah.
like it's
the other thing about his performance in that, or not just his performance, but just how they handled Joker, was again like with Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows. These were all trained like ninjas for all intents and purposes. These are people who were like combat trained. They had the exact same training that Batman had, so the fights were physically very challenging. Whereas Joker's like crew were all like very mentally ill people he was just taking advantage of. Like that was the thing they kept pointing to, and all of his like gadgets and his gear was incredibly low tech. Like the bombs made out of cell phones and stuff, like very very low tech
really
stuff.
basic.
The detonators being like ignitions,
Yeah.
There was it was a good way to just like this is going to be completely different from the last movie. Here's an example why, like visual difference. We can keep talking about Joker, or we can move on to some of the other casting in the movie as well.
I mean, we should probably talk about Aaron Eckhart as
Exactly.
Harvey Dent / Two-Face.
I would say up to this point, our best version of Two-Face we've had on camera so far.
You talked about
You don't like Tommy Lee Jones?
Tommy Lee Jones is amazing.
Although isn't it Sebastian Stan cast to be Harvey Dent in the upcoming Batman movie?
Apparently so, yes.
We could have a contender. But
I will say
this is Aaron Eckhart before his stock was kind of tanked. So this is like right after Thank You for Smoking, if I'm not mistaken. So he had some good buzz to him. He just did a lot of crap afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why did his stock tank? Because I haven't heard of him after Batman.
Well, I mean, if you've watched I, Frankenstein, then you'll know.
I have not.
There you go. No,
I have not watched the single Frankenstein film.
Okay, fair enough. That's your loss, but okay.
Is it?
I've not watched the recent Netflix one, but I like Guillermo del Toro, and I probably will at some point. I'm just holding back on that one. But no, I have a fucking Boris Karloff tattoo, so don't take
aware
my
of
word
this.
for it. Yeah, don't take my word for it. It's right there on the wall, gesturing at him. That's his head.
There he is.
There he is.
There he is. Oh,
There he
freaky
is.
Frankenstein.
Yes. So, no, Aaron Eckhart was great. That one of my favorite things that this is from the animated series where he was voiced by Richard Mull, was when you show that Harvey Dent was a damaged person before the scarring. Because I always like that to me was always really kind of like, oh, he was hideously deformed and he went crazy, but it's like no, he always had problems. The scarring just gave him an excuse not to care anymore.
Right. It was an excuse.
So like we saw that when he kidnapped a very young David Dastmalchian in one of his early roles as a Joker goon that he kidnapped and was holding at gunpoint trying to threaten and coerce information out of. And, Batman had that first interaction with Harvey, because at first he was like enamored with Harvey Dent while also being kind of jealous because Rachel Dawes, who's now being played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, was romantically linked with him. But now he saw as like, all right, cool. I don't have to be Batman anymore if this guy becomes the district attorney, because he's the kind of guy that's going to do things the right way. I won't have to be Batman anymore. I can fucking retire, which is going to be a controversial comment I'm going to have about this movie. But regardless, it was nice to see like, all right, we have a Harvey Dent that's he has a dark edge to him already, and we know it's going to happen. You don't introduce, it's like, Chekhov's gun. If you introduce Harvey Dent, you know he's going to get fucked up.
Wow. Unless it's in the very first Batman movie.
We just didn't get there quick enough.
Yeah.
I would have loved Billy D. Williams as Two-Face.
We got
That
there
would have
then.
been something else.
They have a comic book world called Batman '89, which is like the continuing stories, and in that one, Billy D. Williams' Two-Face did happen.
Yeah.
We also saw Shawn Wayne's Robin as well. Anyway, all things considered, Aaron Eckhart did a great job of Two-Face. Good, believable, nice. Controversial take, I think, but a lot of people that I know whose one complaint about The Dark Knight was they thought the movie was too long. The point where the Joker's been apprehended and we still have to go deal with Two-Face is the moment they were like, that's when the movie felt like it went too long. Because Joker's been caught, but we still have to tie up the Two-Face loose threads.
Right, because by that point, they know they're not going to have any more Joker.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Joker is the most captivating part of that whole film. It just gets people interested. It keeps you watching. And it's one of those things. Whenever Joker isn't on screen, everybody watching it is going to be going, where's Joker? They just want to see more of the Joker. And because that happened to me the first time I watched it, I'm like, I wanted to just be all Joker all the time. But that's why the film works the way it does. Because it keeps you on your toes. And you're like, well, then now what's going to happen? Even at the end of it, once they know Joker is kind of wrapped up and done,
Yeah.
like, well, let's see how this plays out. Let's see what they do. Because whatever happens at the end of it is still a direct result of everything we've seen from the Joker up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, it still makes sense. I don't think by the time we get to the end of it, you're like, now it's too long. There's definitely some films where you watch them and they drag and they drag. When you look at your watch and you're like, we're only an hour in? Fuck me, dude.
Yeah.
I did not feel that with The Dark Knight at all.
No, same here, to be honest. Although I do think that once Joker gets captured, like the whole Harvey Dent side of things gets like wrapped up really quickly. There's like it just
20 minutes.
there's
maybe?
no. Well,
20.
it feels
On
like
the
they
long
could
side?
have kept him around for like a
Another
potential
movie?
sequel as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but he gets
I
killed off so quickly.
bet they kicked themselves after that choice as well, because Joker was the one who had the line of "We could do this forever," and you're like, "No, you're not." And then we killed.
Well, he didn't know.
Yeah, no, they didn't know. But like I said, it was one of those hindsight 2020 things. It's like, maybe we should have kept Harvey Dent around a little longer. But well, I suppose we should comment a little bit about the Maggie Gyllenhaal character and her role in this, as because she replaced Katie Holmes. At that point, Katie Holmes had a whole fallout with the Church of Scientology and Tom Cruise and was keeping a very, very low profile, and was replaced with Maggie Gyllenhaal, who was fine in the role of Rachel Dawes. The character, like I said, is very, very meat and potatoes. There's not a ton of nuance to the Rachel Dawes character for the most part. But you do have the love triangle with Harvey Dent and Bruce and her, where it turns out is a lot more one-sided than maybe Bruce Wayne was under the impression it was. Especially with the whole letter scene that Alfred burns at the end of it, where it's revealed in a letter that she wrote before she died that she was not going to be with Bruce. She preferred to be with Harvey. Which again feeds into the aspect of the Nolan Batman movies. The one thing I didn't care for is the idea of like Bruce doesn't want to do this forever, because being Batman is such an ingrained part of like in the comic book Bruce Wayne world. Like there's literally Elseworld storylines where Bruce Wayne is in an exoskeleton because his body is so broken down, but he can't stop being Batman. Like Batman Beyond is all about like Bruce physically can't do it anymore, and that's why he finds Terry to be his successor and still advises Terry from like the Batcave, because he cannot detach himself from this. This is it for him. This is his whole purpose. So to have like a Bruce Wayne that's kind of like, oh, I can quit, I can retire, and me and Rachel, we could be happy together. It's like, that doesn't feel right to me. There have been storylines where Bruce has flirted with the idea, but inevitably it's like, I have to do this because it's why I exist.
I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think in terms of like Nolan's take on Batman and
Yeah.
this world being a bit more grounded. Like the fact that Batman's like, oh man, I just can't wait to retire. That feels real, you know,
You're
like
saying that from
genuine to
experience.
me. Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
wait to,
yeah. It's
can't
like
wait.
I'm counting the days.
John is like England's Batman. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He's the
But
English
I get,
Batman.
like, to be fair, I get that too. Like I feel like that makes sense because at some point, whenever you're the sole protector of Gotham City, at some point you're gonna be like, nobody else gonna help. Nobody else
Mm-hmm.
gonna like step up and
Well,
do this shit. I
yeah.
can understand that.
Yeah, well, and again, here's your juxtaposition with the comic book world is he's got a whole fucking crew of sidekicks and family members that help him out, and he's still like, anytime he ever like runs into like an alternate timeline or another dimension where like Dick Grayson becomes Batman, he's always disappointed because he's like, I didn't want this for
Yep.
you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. In the comics, he's like, I want. He's so many other people to help him, but he's always like, really though, you're not gonna do it the way I do
I need
it.
to do it.
So
Yeah, Batman, the control freak. He's the Frank
right,
Black of the Pixies.
correct, correct. Whereas in the films, he had this kind of like, I'm tired.
I'm just so
I'm
tired.
fed up of fighting clowns and fucking scarecrows.
I've been
Like,
punching mentally ill people, and I feel bad about it.
yeah,
we should
which
do
I
more.
should do.
Yeah, I
If I
should.
was a real person, I would feel
I
bad
feel
with
really
this.
bad about
So
this. Half of
yeah,
Joker's guys are just people with schizophrenia. You feel terrible for
they're
them.
definitely got
He's gonna
problems.
still punch him though.
Yeah, yeah, I have to. Who else is gonna punch him?
Hands are tied. Who's gonna punch him? The butler? I don't think so.
No, he's just an old man. He's not combat trained like in the comics.
The woman dressed up like a cat? No.
No. She's
Gotta
not
be
even
the
in
man.
this movie yet.
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
In
So
the series.
So if Batman Begins was Batman Year One, then The Dark Knight is sort of a combination of the Killing Joke with the Joker storyline of if you put someone through enough hell, they'll break, even if they're a nice person, and also the Long Halloween, which is the essentially the tale of how Harvey Dent fell from grace. So there's your two stories kind of combined into this one.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on The Dark Knight before we move headfirst into The Dark Knight Rises?
It's really good.
Yeah, best of the
Like,
series by a
100%.
long way, and probably one of the best superhero movies in general as well. Like, there's not many that are as well put together with all the twists and turns and like edge of the seat sort of stuff going on in it. So,
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean we didn't even talk about
I agree.
we didn't even really talk about how you know Lucius Fox essentially kind of at the end of the movie kind of quitting being an advisor for Batman after like they cross some ethical lines in order to find Joker. Like that's a point that of no return for him and he drops it. You know,
mhm.
Batman takes the fall for what happens to Harvey Dent so that people their their feelings on Harvey Dent aren't tarnished, so he willingly becomes the bad guy. And like at that point, like Batman was established. He had like, you know, kind of people in hockey pads at the very beginning of the movie trying to be him. You know, like he become an icon in Gotham, so like he had to turn his back on that and become wanted by the police. So I mean that's of course the big, you know, the line there of, you know, not the hero they deserve, the hero they need, not the hero they deserve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So ultimately, The Dark Knight, did $1 billion in the box office, and has a Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes average of 94%, which is the highest of the Rotten Tomatoes I think we've ever done. Well, no, 90. There was a Marvel that did a 97%. I can't remember what it was though.
It was the Eternals.
It was the Eternals. No, it was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, you know, they're often getting confused with each other.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Host.
Very similar. Animated, very similar, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite part of the movie is when Maggie Gyllenhaal is just a rectangle and her head's right in the middle of her torso.
Don't stag off that animation style.
I know. I know you love animation. I'm just teasing. Anyway,
It's a beautiful film. Let's not go down that road.
we will not go down that road. But
We'll save that for the next one.
the road that we will go down is the follow-up to this in the year 2012, 4 years later, The Dark Knight Rises, where Batman is still kind of a wanted figure. Bruce is wearing down physically and mentally, and we are introduced to a slew of new characters, including Tom Hardy as Bane. Now, I will go ahead and say this. I love Bane. Bane is one of my favorite villains of all time. He is a tactical genius. He's physically imposing. He's the man who broke the bat. Now, of course, in the comic books, Bane is like 7 foot tall and South American, and Tom Hardy is 5'7" and very British.
Mm-hmm.
And the voice is, I don't know what accent he's going for in that voice, but the mask definitely, there was a choice in presentation for how they wanted to do Bane, and they did it.
Well, I will say, presentation-wise, when you just see him,
It's
you're
striking.
like, okay, yeah,
It's
is.
striking.
Like, it looks good. You're like, okay, it's not a one-to-one to the comics, but then Joker wasn't a one-to-one to the comics,
Yeah.
and it worked. Ian had a look. I love the mask. He looked intimidating.
A big
I'm
fur
like,
coat.
okay,
We all like that
yeah,
Sherpa jacket.
just a real fun choice. You're like, okay, doesn't have to be a one-to-one to the comics. I dig this. I'm very interested. So I would say presentation-wise, I think Bane looked the part. That's not my issue with Bane.
Which is?
Well, the voice.
The voice. The
And
voice is
not
interesting.
necessarily the voice. I would say it's the projection is my issue.
Mm.
Because there were times in that film where Bane would say something, and then the people around him would go, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, I don't know what he just said to you, or why that's so concerning to you. How do you know what he said? Because I have no fucking idea. There are times I wish there subtitles because he would just go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and then we go, "Oh my god, Bane's we got to do what he says." Like, I don't know what he said. Like, if I was there, I would be like, "Look, I don't want you to kill me, but I have
Can you
no
speak
idea
up?
what you told me to do." Yeah,
Can you speak?
like, can you do it again? Maybe like take the mask down, do it again, put it back on. Just for me. That was my issue. I love Bane. Well, that was one of my issues. Sure, we'll get to the other issue later on in this, but my first issue was not how he sounded, but how impossible it was to understand what he was saying sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I liked the voice box. I liked the gimmick. I liked that. I didn't like how I just didn't know what he was saying sometimes.
Yeah, a bit too mumbly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So joining Bane, we had Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. I have to tell you, I was not terribly impressed. I didn't care. This might be a very strange thing to say, but we will say it. Catwoman is the be-all, end-all femme fatale. Always has been. And Anne Hathaway, to me, is about as sexy as a jar of mayonnaise. It's white, and it is dull, and it is uninteresting. And
it's easy to fuck.
But yeah, there was absolutely nothing about her as Catwoman that I thought was interesting or appealing. I mean, especially, was it Zoe Kravitz who played her in the Batman, John?
Yes.
Infinitely better and more interesting. Infinitely. And just effortless as well. This did not feel effortless. Michelle Pfeiffer had the same vibe to her of just effortless. Like, your eye was drawn to her immediately. And
100%.
I felt this was really uninspired, and I feel like we just went with the big name.
Somebody else said that to me. One of my friends said that to me whenever that film came out. Because they were like, this is a grave miscarriage of justice. Which I'm like, that's maybe a bit of an overreaction, but they really did not like Anne Hathaway being Catwoman. And I'm like, I get it. I can see where you're coming from. I thought she was fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a trilogy of films where the actors have, except for, unfortunately, a lot of the women, most of the casting has been better than fine. But then, like we've said, if you look at Katie Holmes, Look at Maggie Gyllenhaal. They were fine
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
because of what they did.
Yeah,
And I think
there wasn't a lot to work with in those roles as well.
right. I think the problem with that was they were fine because their characters were fine. Who cares about those characters?
Yeah.
But Catwoman is a character that people do care about. So that character has to be more than fine.
Yes.
It has to be to the same level of the other characters we've talked about, Batman or the Butler or the Joker or being. It needs to have that same level of attention to it. I don't know if they did that. I think she was fine as Catwoman, but I think that what they want from Catwoman is more than fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was one of those instances where, like, having a grounded approach with the character, they went the wrong way with it. Like Zoe Kravitz, her version of Catwoman was also incredibly grounded. I mean, her Catwoman was like a dancer at like a club, which is very in line with the comic books. That Catwoman was a sex worker for a period of time, and this didn't feel grounded to me at all. It just didn't. It felt like we were trying to create like a female equivalent to Batman, but like, oh, but she's still a criminal, and it's like, it's like a Lupin the Third kind of criminal, where it's like professional criminal, and I don't know. It just didn't have any dirt on it. Didn't have any dirt. Didn't have any grit, and you got to be a little filthy if you're gonna be Catwoman.
I agree. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
So also joining them, we had Marion. I'm gonna absolutely butcher the last name. Is it Cotillard or Coulthard?
I think it's a bit more French than that, but
Yeah, you ain't getting that from West Virginia.
Yeah.
Or Ohio. Yes, but she plays the character of Miranda Tate, who is later revealed to actually be Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Liam Neeson's character, which is a little confusing in retrospect when we think of Ra's al Ghul as a title. Why wouldn't she just be Ra's al Ghul? Anyway, that being said, thoughts on her? Because again, Talia is a very dynamic character in the comics as well. The daughter of Ra's al Ghul, the mother of Damian, who is one of the current Robins. So very much a love interest with Batman, same as Catwoman. But I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time remembering much of her in this. I think when I think of her, I always end up thinking that I'm thinking of Dark Knight Rises, but I'm actually just thinking of Inception.
Yeah, it's not much of a character here to work with. And the reveal that she's Talia comes as almost like an afterthought near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really pack much of a punch or like offer much of a, shock and surprise or anything. It's just there. So,
Right.
yeah, it's not great.
It's different from the twist in the first film. I felt like the bait and switch, where you're like, "Oh, the real villain's Liam Neeson."
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one, they spent so much time making the villain Bean, for Bean to have such an unsatisfying ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for them to go, "Oh, it's her all along," you're like, "Huh?" And then I think that drags down the rest of the film, because obviously the rest of the film is supposed to be this big race against time for the bomb or whatever. But by that point, I feel like they kind of deflated the audience. They've kind of like, let's say, vomited up all over their shoes because they blew their load already. You know what I mean? Like, people by that point, I would say your friends who thought the Dark Knight was too long because they get to the Two-Face bit,
Yeah,
is better applied to this film, because once they get to the end of Bane, everything's deflated and you're like, I don't care, we still have like 30-40 minutes of shit to go. And that I find that happened to me once they got rid of Bane and they were like, it's Talia al Ghul. You're like, cool. I have to keep watching it.
Yeah, he can't.
I feel really annoyed that they were so anticlimactic with the way they got rid of Bane. Whenever all the way through that film, the whole point of the film is Bane versus Batman.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have a big thing. They didn't. It turns out it was somebody else, and then she just kind of disappears. You're like, all right, well, great. Like, it's like a big fuck you to the audience, which is a shame because the other ones hadn't been like that. They've been smart. They've been very clever with the way they played things. This one wasn't clever, I thought.
So also joining the cast for this movie is Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Detective John Blake, who, of course, at the end is revealed his legal name is Robin. It means absolutely nothing in the context of this. It felt really pointless to even do that. But regardless, at this point, Christopher Nolan has definitely entered that sort of auteur stage, because you start to see his regular acting buddies. So you see Tom Hardy, you see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you see Cillian Murphy is brought back for a small part with Scarecrow again. You see Michael Caine, who's done other movies with him. Marion, last name in French that I'm gonna absolutely butcher. I noticed nobody else has even attempted to say her name. I want to point that out. So that's the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, John Blake character. He's kind of meant to be kind of an Avatar character in a sense of the eyes on the ground, kind of getting you acquainted with this new status quo of Gotham where the police fucking hate Batman and are trying to track him down. He's also our kind of point person for the other big happenings here where, spoiler, Bane and the League of Shadows detonate a series of bombs that turns Gotham into an island and separates it from the rest of the civilized world, which again is a plot point in the comic series No Man's Land where an earthquake did that to Gotham. So, of course, Bane also, we can't have Bane without breaking Batman's back. That happens here as well, so that's also part of it, is Bruce having to work his way back up to fight Bane, and as you mentioned, have an unsatisfactory conclusion in that. So there are two comics books that are the emphasis for this. We have No Man's Land and Nightfall, where Batman gets broken,
which we've talked about extensively on the show. And if you haven't heard it already, you should go back and check out our Nightfall episodes because they're amazing.
Two-parter.
We should do that one, the No Man's Land one too.
There's a lot that goes on in No Man's Land. That was a very long event. So yeah, we should do it.
I mean, is it Kang Dynasty levels of?
It was Kang Dynasty levels of length. Not but I mean, stuff happens in that one as opposed to Kang Dynasty where stuff happened but it was inconsequential. That's where Cassandra Cain gets introduced. Jim Gordon's wife gets murdered by the Joker, in cold blood in front of a bunch of babies. There's some intense shit that happens in No Man's Land. So yes, our big plot points are we're having Gotham and Batman at an all-time low with him having to crawl his way back up. I feel like we should talk about the ending as well, because I don't know.
Corey, you didn't seem excited about the ending.
I mean, again, it's someone's personal take on Batman, which I get, I understand, and I can respect that. Personally, seeing the big reveal of Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle having kids in a French bodega or whatever the fuck that was, I don't care. What do you even do at that point?
I mean, that's the bit that annoyed me was that Batman just drives his little helicopter off into the sea and it explodes. And I was like, Batman's dead. I'm like,
probably not.
Batman's not dead.
Yeah,
probably not.
Anybody watching that who thought Batman was dead, you think they're just gonna kill off Batman and there will be no more Batman? No, Batman's not dead.
He did it with James Bond in the last Bond movie.
I haven't seen it.
Spoilers.
Yep.
Great. This, by the way, is a great get out of jail free card because every time you guys say something has happened, I'm like, well, I didn't see it, so it hasn't happened.
It never happened.
It never happened to me. I have no.
Daniel Craig is still James Bond.
Any of this. I didn't know James Bond was dead. Who killed him?
I can't remember. I guess the bad guy in it.
Fair enough.
Memorable.
That's all here. Bane.
Yeah, it was Bane.
Mm-hmm. I had to get some revenge somehow.
All 5'5" of them.
Yeah, I thought the proper ending where Michael Caine sitting in the restaurant and he looks over, he sees Batman, he sees Bruce Wayne, and they kind of wink at each other or whatever. And the credits roll. I didn't hate that because they foreshadowed it. I think I hated it because they foreshadowed it so clearly.
Yeah.
where Michael Caine said,
Yeah.
"This exact thing is what I want to happen," and then the exact thing happened. And like, okay, that's not like foreshadowing. That's just like,
Do you think that actually happened, or do you think that's like a dream sequence?
do you think that Alfred has dementia?
Yeah.
And just in his head, he's like in a home,
He's in a
and
home.
they're trying to. His family are trying
Michael
to talk
Caine
to
is
him.
quite old.
Yeah, his family are like, Alfred, please, try to recognize us. And he's just like in the bed, like, Miss Wade over there having dinner, and like,
Mr.
maybe,
Wade over there having dinner. This reminds
maybe
me
we
when I
should.
was young and I saw a woman have an abortion in a sink. Alfie. Because he's Alfred.
I guess, yeah.
Same character.
I never made that connection, but 100%.
that would be fucking wild. It's like, oh yeah, there's actually like a secret, like hidden joke in there, is that Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy is actually just Alfie. he's that traumatized after he matured.
I haven't seen it, so
You gotta watch Alfie, man.
I feel like there's a lot of films I have to watch, and clearly I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Don't worry, we're not all John. We can't watch 1,200 films in a year.
I mean, we can if we want to.
If I can do it, you can do it.
I mean, you can dance
true.
if you want to, and you can leave your friends behind.
You can leave your friends behind, and if your friends don't dance, wait.
Whatever.
That dance wasn't as safe as they said it was.
SSSSEEEE. Sorry, I actually really do like that song. Unironically,
I also love the safety dance. Yeah.
Oh, give me the extended version. I want that full 7 minutes.
No. Regular ass version.
Anyway, that's how our feelings about the Dark Knight Rises are. That we just went off on a safety dance tangent. So,
Yep.
I guess your thoughts on Dark Knight Rises. I found myself kind of bored watching it. It did.
Yes.
To me, that's when the grounded realism got really tiring.
Well, I don't even think there's that much grounded realism in this movie as well.
There's not.
Like, in terms of, like, Bane blowing up the bridges of Gotham and then, like, basically turning it into no man's land. The government doing fuck all to kind of...
They would have sent the fucking army in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then there's, like, all the stuff as well where, like, the police tricked into going down into the sewers, and then they're, like, trapped in there for months on end. It's like, really? I don't know, like, the whole...
They would have been malnourished,
kind of
very sickly.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like such a lazy plot compared to how smartly the previous movie was. Oh yeah, 100%. I think he just kind of...
He didn't want to do 3 movies.
No, he kind of had to, and just wanted to kind of get it out of the way, I guess.
Plus,
I feel like he did want to do 3 movies, but like by the third one, something went wrong.
Well, I think like Heath Ledger dying probably was a dampener.
Yeah. I feel like
I feel like he definitely wanted to make a third one. I think he definitely wanted to make a third one, but just in the course of it, he was like, I don't know if it's gonna work. But by the time you're in the middle of shooting a Batman film, you can't really be like, that's the end. We'll just cut it. Like they have to finish it. They have to do something. I feel like maybe that contributed to like the shoddy ending. I don't know. Who knows?
It's just a bit of a bummer of a movie as well. Yeah. Like Batman starts off as being broken, and then he kind of shakes that off, picks up the mantle of Batman again, and then immediately gets broken,
physically broken
a second time. And then then he's like, he has to spend a lot of the movie in the pit trying to get out and get back to Gotham and stuff. It's just I don't know, it's a weird kind of movie as a Batman fan, really. Like it doesn't feel like
Batman.
We're getting the best version of Batman in this at all.
No, we're not getting. I mean, there's a lot of comic storylines where the crux of it is just Batman getting pushed to a physical or mental breaking point. Currently, there's a story in Detective Comics where he has been poisoned, and there's no cure for the poison yet. And what the poison does is it removes your inhibitions and it removes your sense of fear. It's like a poison called like courage, and it was basically devised by this new villain whose whole motivation is his dad was a criminal, and when he was a kid, Batman scared the shit out of him by breaking into his home and abducting his dad. And because it was like Bruce when he was young and inexperienced and thought like force was the right way to do everything. So like
Mhm.
he's poisoned with this thing that's removing his inhibition. So like he's constantly having to check himself. Like, am I being too aggressive? Am I being too brash? Because Batman's whole defining trait is control. Batman is a creature of control. Everything he does is about control. So like you can do stories where Batman is getting pushed to those physical limits or those mental limits where he's, like just getting the shit kicked out of him. But like the indomitable will has to be there, and I know this movie had a lot of Bruce Wayne self-doubt. And that
Hmm.
doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Any final thoughts on Dark Knight Rises though?
Just it was a bit of a letdown, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
don't think it's a bad movie necessarily, but it's just
No.
compared to especially The Dark Knight, it was a massive letdown.
Yeah. I think the ending's a big problem for me.
Mm.
Maybe like
yeah.
the last half an hour. Like, it's a shame.
So this movie, box office wise, did better than The Dark Knight. It did $1,115,000,000. The average Rotten Tomatoes score though is 87%. So even though we preferred Batman Begins over it, it's still rated higher than Batman Begins.
Well, people are idiots, so.
So if you were to take those three movies and get an average on both, the average box office for a Christopher Nolan Batman film is $829 million, and an average Rotten Tomatoes score of 89%. So
Not
not
bad.
bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
In comparison, if we look at the first wave of Marvel movies, which was multiple movies, the average was $961 billion, and their average Rotten Tomato score was 85%. So significantly less movies, but very comparable.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Very interesting. Very
So
interesting.
so right now we're kind of in a weird place with Batman films because we have the second The Batman coming out. We have a Clayface movie coming out, which is still weird to think there's a Clayface movie coming out, but they are not going to be a shared world. The Batman 2 has nothing to do with Clayface. It is a sequel to the other The Batman movie because James Gunn's DCU has his own Batman film that will be in the works at some point called Batman Brave and the Bold. That is going to be a Batman and Son, Bruce Wayne and Damian, which will be the first time we'll see that pairing on the silver screen. Nobody's been cast. A script has not been even leaked. So it's all in the realm of possibility currently at the moment.
Do you think we could get cast as Batman?
My
What,
goal.
all three of us?
Yes. So I'll be Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
Corey will be Batman. Then John does the stunts for Batman.
I'm not
I
sure about this.
if I'm getting
Okay,
cast,
whoa,
if I'm getting
whoa, whoa,
cast,
whoa.
no. If I'm getting
No,
cast
no,
in
no.
the DC universe, I'm getting cast as Bibbo Babowski, and that's it.
Okay, well, I was gonna say that John will swap roles. You can be Bruce Wayne, and I'll do the stunts.
Well, John, no.
Okay.
So Dylan, you can be Batman, and John can be Bruce Wayne.
Who's gonna do stunts?
Well, I mean, whoever's
Me?
yeah, that's you, bud.
But you're not gonna be in the Batman film?
No, I'm gonna be in the Superman films as Superman fanboy Bibbo Babowski.
But wouldn't you want to stay in the same film as us?
No, we're in a shared universe.
Not the same film.
No, maybe Bibbo visits
Unless
Gotham.
Batman and Superman get together to fight each other somehow, but that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, some would say that would be the dawn of justice.
I would say that would be total bullshit. That's what I would say. That happened. What
So
a shit
yes,
that would be.
this was our that was our last Batman with Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale. The next Batman that we got after that was Ben Affleck in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and then the Justice League, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then Flash, and then I think at the end of the Flash, because of all the time fuckery, Ben Affleck got replaced by George Clooney at the end. I think
I
that's what
think so.
happened.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan, you didn't know that one, did you?
I haven't seen it.
Yep. Well, there you go.
I haven't
So
seen it.
so is there a final pin you want to put, or a final bow you'd like to slap on the Nolan Batman trilogy and our second rundown of these movies?
Well, our first rundown that everybody knows about.
Well, they know about the first one. They just know that it disappeared one day.
Just like me.
One day. You're going to give them the old Irish goodbye.
Well, be appropriate.
It would certainly would be.
We just call it a goodbye.
It's just standard old goodbye. Well, it's not really a goodbye because nobody ever says goodbye. You just turn around and you're gone. That's why you're the perfect Batman. He does that all the time. You turn around, he's gone.
We just call it going home.
You just call it Batman.
Okay. I would argue that if you went to James Gunn and said that I would be the perfect Batman, he might have a couple of notes for you. But I appreciate that. I don't have much to say about the whole thing other than I think we covered like our favorites. It's like, Dark Knight, then the first one, and the third one. But Heath Ledger was a very good Joker.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really, really hope that this podcast has recorded properly and
We have to do it a third time.
Yeah. Please don't make us do it a third time.
I'm not doing it a third time.
Yeah. If this one, for whatever reason, if this one doesn't get through, people just go, it's weird they never talked about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
No, not once, not
never
twice.
Once, never. They must really hate Christopher Nolan.
Well.
And that's The Prestige, where we reveal that we actually do like him. And David Bowie's there as Nikola Tesla.
It's a great film, though. Prestige.
You've seen that?
You've seen that one. Okay. You saw that
I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
Great film.
Honest to God, I know a lot of people were like, oh, I wish that Nolan would come back and make more Batman. No, let him make stuff like that. That is infinitely better. Infinitely better.
100%. Yeah.
The twist in those movies, fucking amazing. Great twist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Steve Bowie was in it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you got David Bowie in it now, it's even more impressive.
Well, I wouldn't say impressive. I'd be more like concerning.
Haunting, really.
Yeah. I would say not cool. That's how I would say it. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of all these this movie talk that we've been doing, John, where are you at in your movie watch for the year?
So far I have watched 120 movies.
That's impressive. It is early February here, late February if you're watching this. So add another 40 to that and you're probably close to where we are. So John, what was your most recent movie that you watched?
It was a movie called The Kingdom, which was one of the very many like post 9/11 sort of movies obsessed with American soldiers and the Middle East and terrorists and all that kind of stuff. It was all right. Had Jamie Foxx in it.
Oh shit.
Jennifer Garner.
Okay.
Jason Bateman.
Interesting.
Chris Cooper. It was like, yeah.
Chris Cooper's always great.
Yeah, it was decent. Wasn't great, but yeah, those kind of movies are pretty much a dime a dozen anyway. So you have to do something special to make them stand out.
Yeah, any military movie from the 2000s is going to be very run of the mill.
Yeah.
Problematic as well. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So John, where can they read about your review of The Kingdom?
Wait, what did you give it a score?
I gave it 3 stars out of 5.
There you go. Run of the mill.
Yeah. And they can find my review on Letterboxd at a big John Bowski, all one word.
And Dylan, what have you been getting up to this week?
All sorts of fun stuff, but mainly on Monday nights I do a radio show, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock UK time. Click on bouncedigitalradio.co.uk. You can listen to it. I would recommend you check out Monday nights, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. We play a lot of fun music.
Two-Face gave you a shout out this week.
He did. I appreciate that. That was really nice of him. He doesn't always talk to me. Very rude, I find. Sometimes I stream on Twitch at Spooky LaRue, and I draw a lot of cartoons and I make them come alive. I put them on YouTube at Team Crows and I. It's the same on YouTube and TikTok. We're thinking about maybe not being on TikTok anymore because
Yeah.
you know
Hmm.
the political climate these days.
Yes.
But we're on YouTube, which is also problematic. Come on, you got to draw a line somewhere. But
You have to choose the devil you know.
yeah. So we have a new cartoon up. I think I put one up today. Not today when you're watching this, but
A month
today
ago.
when we're recording this. So there'll be more stuff coming out. Check that out.
All right. And as for me, I have my show, Large Old Cup. It's back and a lot more shouty than it used to be because I'm still playing with my microphone levels at times. And also, there's been a level of just enthusiasm while I'm recording. I'm hitting recording when I'm on a high, and we're just going. But that's just the fun of it. But you will find a link to that as well. It is on, much like Smart Avengers, it is on Spotify and everywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. There's not a YouTube component because can't be bothered. But speaking of YouTube components, though, there is New Number Ones, which is the show that I recently kind of started doing. It's about 3 to 5 minutes long every week, where I go to my local comic store every Wednesday or sometime in the week, and I grab a new number one from the wall from a publisher that I usually have not heard from in a series I know nothing about. So I've done it for about 4 weeks in a row now, and it's been pretty interesting. I will say that it's been a lot of people with some interesting ideas that I don't know if they have everything they need to make it happen. So, of the 4 that I've read, the last one, Do Not Disturb, I think has the most potential to be a pretty good ongoing.
Good.
But yeah, until next time, however, we're going to get out of here, and maybe you'll see this episode, or maybe you'll be lost to the annals of time forever and always. Until then, though, we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh,
That's Batman. Was
It's
that Batman or
Batman.
Bane?
It was Batman.
Can you do a Bane one?
Oh
All right, now do a Joker.
That's good.
Do a Joker.
no.
You gotta make lip smacking noises. That's how you know it's real.
Goodbye.
That's an auditory nightmare.